Let's rank Cavern of Souls.
Okay.
Okay, so Cavern of Souls is a land. It's not a cave. That'll be relevant in a moment. That came out initially in Avacyn Restored in spring of 2012. It was the last set in the original Innistrad block. And it's had 7 printings since then. Most recently, I'm counting twice in Lost Caverns of Ixalan because there's a regular art in the set, and there's also a borderless. And it was in Modern Masters 3. It was a box topper in Zendikar Rising in fall of 2020. In Double Masters 22, which is I think the second Double Masters, it was reprinted with the art from the Modern Masters 3, but there was also an extended art or borderless art variant. Then this past summer in Lord of the Rings, one of the box toppers where they had 30 different reprints that were reskinned as Lord of the Rings card, Paths of the Dead is a reprint of Cavern of Souls. And then finally in Lost Caverns of Ixalan, it's back in standard for the first time in 11 years.
That's a long time.
This card has been valuable and popular since it was first released. Let's briefly look at what it does, because that's relevant to how we're going to rank the different printings. It is a land. When it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type. So this is really enforces tribal synergies. You can always tap it for one colorless, but its real core function is you can tap it for one of any color to cast a creature spell of the chosen creature type, and that spell cannot be countered.
Yeah, there's no downside to running this if you have a lot of the same creatures in your deck.
It's in standard. It's in a domain right now. You can cast your Atraxas and your Angels of Wrath off of it.
Oh,
it's probably
so
other things. It's basically pushed the mono blue tempo deck out of the meta because you can't counter things with Cavern of Souls there. So it just
as a blue player, I both love and hate this card. Just want to throw that out there.
But it's in Modern, it's in Legacy, Vintage. I assume it's in Commander.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's if you're running.
We play such a low powered Commander in our.
If you're running, I mean, it's in my Spider deck.
All right.
If you have a lot of the same creature type, why not?
Yeah, you're right. So that's what the card does. And I think it's worth our time to really get into which one is best.
Yeah, because we have a lot of different art to look at for this card in these various printings.
Yeah. And so my baseline is it a cavern? And are there souls? And so for me, there's a clear last place here. What do you think? There's one that I don't think really has a cavern and definitely doesn't have souls.
Yeah, there's we're not hitting all the notes on every one of these. In the original printing, to be honest, for the longest time I did not know what the wisp in the middle of it was.
Yeah.
But I could see that being, I'm sure if we zoom in on it, we can see in better detail what's going on there. But it's clearly in a cavern.
Yeah.
And then we have this smoky wisp thing kind of dead center in the art, which could arguably be a soul. Yeah.
Given the name, I assume, that's souls.
I think that's what we're meant to think about this. It's not super defined, but what is a soul? That's a little too philosophical for this channel.
But I want to zoom in on what I think is the worst case.
Yeah, let's jump. Yeah.
Do you have one that you think just doesn't have either of these things in it?
Yeah, it's very pretty, but from what I can see of the Ixalan one, we're not in a cavern, and I don't see any souls.
The borderless or the regular?
The regular one, unless there's some hidden souls there that I can't see.
See, I think it's the borderless.
I mean, the borderless one, we're definitely.
See the cavern. Zooming in on the regular print in Ixalan, there's stalactites and stalagmites, so it's in a cavern.
Okay.
And I think these blue specks of the light, I think the souls are less clearly souls.
Yeah.
But I think that's what's going on there.
I was kind of misreading this visually, but when you blow it up, I can see. Yeah, this is more of a cavern.
Yeah. So definitely a cavern. And the souls are there they're implied, like, given that we know what the card is supposed to be.
Right.
But what I think is just neither one is the borderless art from this set. It's a temple like the temples throughout the core. So it's an Oteklan temple that's broken at the top. I'm guessing since it's in water that they had a similar art prompt for this one and the regular art for this set. It seems like a rough attempt to try and present the same thing. On the ceiling of the regular art, you see the same sort of glyphs that are present in the background of the borderless. But I just don't think that the borderless on its own, it's just a temple in water. You can't tell it's in a cavern, and the glyphs don't look like souls. I don't think they're supposed to be.
This one it's kind of tough because I think this one looks cool. I like it visually, but are we in a cavern? I don't know. Are there souls? Maybe. I feel very iffy about answering yes to both of those things, but visually I do like this one.
Yeah. See, I don't. It's my least favorite on multiple counts. So I would put that in 7th.
Okay.
But I think I would have it tying with this extended art from Double Masters 22 because it's a cavern.
Yeah.
I think, but it's kind of vaguely impressionist.
It does feel very. I was going to say that too. Which, this of the ones of what's out there, I don't particularly like this one.
I just don't see any souls.
I don't really see any souls. Maybe the lighter things in the background are meant to give us that impression, but it's very vague. This is definitely, for me, the vaguest one of like.
So would you actually put this at number 7?
I would put that one at number 7 for me.
You know what? I think that's fair, only because I think it's clearly the same temple that's supposed to be depicted in both of the Lost Caverns versions. So I think we can do that. We can put Double Masters 22 extended art in 7th place, and the borderless Lost Caverns of Ixalan in 6th.
Yeah, I can agree to that.
So then let's have a closer look. We already discussed the original printing a little bit. Very good on the Caverns. Souls, a little less so. My leading, I think, contender for my favorite, though, is the second art ever released for this card, which is from the Modern Masters 3 in the first place. It could be a well rather than a cavern.
That's kind of my impression of it, but I'm not sure where this is supposed to be.
Yeah.
I do really like the hands.
The souls are so cool. And what's flowing from these tunnel mouths, is it more souls or is it water? I think it's more souls, but it's that ambiguity that's really cool.
I know it does. I don't know if this card, I can't remember if there's flavor text on it. I don't think there is because there's so much rules text for the land itself. But something about that one kind of...
Yeah, there's no flavor text on it.
For some reason, it kind of reminds me of Theros. And I don't know why. It's just something that comes to mind for me, that this is like sort of a culmination of all these maybe rivers of souls or falling through these various little aqueducts or something and pooling here in this place with the hands. I really like this one a lot.
So evocative.
And I love the colors too.
This I would happily just have on my wall.
Yeah, this is great as just a piece of art. It's great. I like it as a representation for this card.
The other one that I really like, actually the other two that I really like as pieces of art, there is the Zendikar Rising box topper. I love it as art, but it doesn't look like it's in a cave. Yeah,
this is kind of that same thing. It kind of looks again like we're in a temple or some kind of ruin.
Yeah.
We've got this piece that could be an altar. I'm not 100% sure what that is, but it's very cool artistically. I like looking at it.
The centerpiece, I think, is actually really similar possibly to the piece on the original Avatar of Sword, because
it's that sort of square altar thing,
right? It's kind of hard to tell from the distance whether it's a square or if it's a cylinder. We just can't tell from perspective, but I could believe that is supposed to be the same object,
I could buy that.
Class of object, because it's kind of squarish and it has the souls spouting out the top in kind of a similar way, kind of.
And I like that sort of a callback to the original piece of art. I like the way this looks. I like the light coming in through the pieces that are breaking apart in the background. But are we in a cavern?
I think we've got to bump this down to like 5th place.
Yeah,
just because
I don't
it's not
feel
really
like we're in a cavern.
Yeah. All right, so that's final 3 set, but I love everything Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I think we might be a little biased on this one.
But I mean, it's got the souls, and it's got the story of Lord of the Rings doing some of the lifting for it, because we anyone who's seen the movies or read the books and is familiar with what's happening here, we just know that, hey, yeah, that's a bunch of souls, and they sure have been living in a cave for countless decades.
That's fair that we are kind of riding on those coattails a little bit here, but I do really like this one too. This is another one that I would hang on the wall as art. I just like this illustration. Again, I like how they have chosen to use light to show the souls, which, I mean, how many different ways can you really do this?
Yeah.
But I really like how they have that, and then going toward the lighter background.
But in the same way that the Modern Masters 3 version has the main souls in the foreground, but then the waterfalls, which are actually probably souls, in this one you have these streams of light coming down the columns, which I guess are sort of the same idea. Especially these ones right in the foreground.
Yeah, you can kind of see these sort of tendrils. It's like light, smoke. I'm not sure exactly. It has that sort of, which is a really great way to represent that. It's very ethereal. It kind of gives the impression of life, like it's not flowing straight down. It doesn't look like it is completely, it's not necessarily interacting with physics. You can see how some of these different things are moving in directions that don't really obey gravity. You know, it kind of has that sense that it is still a little bit alive, in some sense of thinking.
So I think for me, that puts the Modern Masters 3 and the Paths of the Dead kind of in the top 2 spots.
I'm fine. Yeah, I agree with that. I like the original because it's iconic, but it's not my favorite piece.
So if those are the top 2, then 3 and 4 are going to be between the original and the Lost Caverns of Ixalan version. You had asserted that until we zoomed in, you couldn't even tell what a cavern was.
I did struggle, and so these both kind of have that trouble. This is something I see a lot with magic art, where there is the challenge of trying to create something that reads at card size.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I when I look at full-size images of what the artist actually drew, I'm like, that is amazing.
Yeah.
I love this. And then I'll see it printed on a card, and whether it's the size or like sometimes there's printing inconsistencies and things come out really dark.
Yeah.
And we can't always see all these cool details that these people created. So like at full size, I love this.
Yeah.
Like this is easily my 3rd pick. I might even put this higher. I love this one. Again, you know, at card size, I kind of struggled to fully appreciate what was happening here. It doesn't make sense in terms of, like, if you think about Ixalan, the story we're telling in Lost Caverns of Ixalan and what's going on. Visually, I read this as the far left being a tree.
Oh, I see.
I saw it as a tree trunk, and we're like looking into like a swampy area, maybe, and the lighter area being like horizon or sky or something. Yeah. Which I was like, well, that doesn't really make sense with where we are, but visually that's what I saw.
Okay.
And then for, you know, the original Cavern of Souls clearly reads more as a cavern, but it is one that's a little bit more like, you know, my first impression of it was like, I don't know exactly what's going on here. Granted, the first time I saw it, I'm not sure if, I think the second one had come out already, the Modern Masters one, but those were the only 2 printings that existed at the time. So I may have seen them around the same time, or I can't remember if that's the first one I ever actually looked at. But of the 2, obviously the Modern Masters one is preferred for me. So I was like, yeah, we're going with that one.
Avacyn Restored in 3rd place, and
I think that's
Lost Caverns in 4th place.
I think for me, I might switch them and put Lost Caverns in 3rd, just because I really like it.
Above Avacyn Restored?
I think I would
you have done that before?
Not before you zoomed in, though. Yeah, not before you zoomed in.
I don't know if that counts then.
I don't know if that actually counts. I might be cheating a bit there. But if we are sticking to our rules about it being clearly in a cavern, clearly showing souls, I will concede that the original printing should go in 3rd place.
Okay.
Because it is more clearly a cavern at card size.
All right, let's stick with that. So then between first and second, we have to make that crucial decision.
Oh.
One of these cards has to know the thrill of victory. I think we should give it to Modern Masters 3 just because it's in a Magic setting. It's not.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, I feel like it would be a little bit... It wouldn't feel right to choose the Lord of the Rings version.
They're both beautiful.
Yeah, they're both beautiful. We love them both, but only one can wear the crown.
All right, we did it!
Yay!
Yay!